Welcome to a deep dive. We know you want to get right to the heart of what's truly impactful in business strategy.
And quickly, too. No fluff.
Exactly. So today, we're doing a deep dive into Mark Imperiali's perspective on a really specific type of person.
Right, the kind who, as he puts it, might not always kill it in an interview,
Uh-huh.
but they're game changers when things get tough, like in a crisis.
Okay, so our mission here is to really understand who these people are and, crucially, why they matter so much right now, especially with all the strategic shifts and, hidden tensions businesses face.
It's about looking at talent and maybe problem solving through a slightly different lens, I think.
So let's start with identification. Imperiali uses labels like HPI, high potential individuals.
Yeah, but with a caveat, he says they're often atypical, sometimes even hypersensitive.
Right. And he calls them silent radars. What's that about in terms of human intelligence and recruitment?
Well, it highlights that they perceive things others don't. Subtle shifts, underlying currents in the organization. They're not necessarily loud about it.
So less about broadcasting, more about receiving.
Exactly. They might not fit the standard high potential mold we often think of. They don't always fit into the boxes, as Imperiali says.
But they instinctively grasp how things might need to change, even the structure itself.
Precisely. And it's interesting, he notes they don't usually seek power for themselves.
But they understand power dynamics almost innately.
Yeah, they see the currents, the influence plays, the unwritten rules, you could say. It's more of an observational clarity.
Okay, so if they have this insight, this clarity, why can they be, difficult sometimes? Imperiali mentions things like too fast for processes
Too lucid for consensus.
and too intuitive for classic evaluation grids. That sounds like a recipe for being misunderstood.
It absolutely can be, because traditional business often prioritizes, clear steps, group agreement, hard data.
And these individuals might operate more holistically, intuitively.
Right. They might arrive at an insight before all the formal steps or data points line up, which can be unsettling for some systems.
But Imperiali argues that's their strategic value, that very intuition.
Yes. He says their strength is that ability to sense before knowing.
Understand without explaining and decipher without dominating. That's powerful stuff, especially in uncertain times.
Absolutely. Think about strategic shifts, hidden tensions, maybe an undeclared crisis brewing.
Those are the times you need that kind of radar.
He suggests these are the people to bring into the room then. In board meetings, they might perceive the influence games before the formal discussion.
And in exec committees, asking the awkward question.
The disturbing but fair questions, yeah. And in very specific surgical recruitment, they can see past the job description to the real DNA of the role.
So it's crucial then, not just to find them, but to create a space where they can actually contribute, not just force them to adapt.
That's a key takeaway. Imperiali stresses giving them a platform to reveal what the organization might be blind to see.
It loops back to that Humint idea, human intelligence. Recognizing signals, not just overt performance.
Yeah, operating on a different frequency. In complex situations, they're the ones who might quietly reconnect what people say they want with what's actually happening.
And that surgical recruitment point, focusing on the unique person, not just the CV.
He calls them a potential secret weapon there,
Provided they're understood and not shut down when their insights are most needed.
Exactly. It requires companies to be maybe a bit more open-minded about where value comes from, beyond the usual metrics.
Valuing intuition alongside data, perhaps?
Something like that. Fostering an environment where these silent radars feel safe enough and valued enough to speak up.
So wrapping up, the core idea is that true strategic edge might come from recognizing and, making space for these individuals who operate differently.
Which leads to a question for everyone listening. Think about your own workplace, your network. Are there people whose unique perspective, that intuitive grasp, might be getting overlooked?
And how could their potential be better tapped into, especially when things get critical?
It's definitely food for thought.
Indeed. Maybe the next big leap in strategy isn't just more data, but learning to tune into these silent radars. Thanks for this fascinating deep dive.